Hello and welcome to Kanto Cast Special NPA Season 4 edition. We're having a little special side series, if you guys weren't aware. I tried to give you a heads up a little while back. We are going to be covering the NPA Season 4, and if you don't know what the NPA is, or what a season is, well, you're going to get filled in pretty effectively, I think. As always, I am Blue. I'm not joined by Yella because she does not know what is going on in terms of the NPA. But, luckily, I have a fantastic co-host, the commish himself of the NPA. Joedor, welcome, my friend. How you doing?
What's going on? My name's Joedor, everybody. I'm the commissioner of the National Pokemon Association. I also coach the Seattle Seakings, and luckily or unluckily for Blue here, he is not in the same division as me. So, I won't be, fighting for a playoff spot against him. So I guess that's good.
I know we're friendly now. That's what that means.
We do have a match though. We do play late in the season, I think.
Oh, do we?
I think so.
I didn't even know
we're like the third to final week before the playoffs. Sounds about right.
Pressure. I like that. Yeah. So if you guys didn't know, I'm in the NPA. I told you that a while back. The NPA, if you guys are familiar, it is a draft Pokemon league. But the NPA has a little bit different rulings. So, like any other league, you're going to be able to draft a team of Pokemon from a pool of available Pokemon. However, the tiering system that the NPA uses is a little bit different. Joe, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for starters, we have 24 coaches instead of 16. So right away, you have to kind of widen the pool among your upper divisions. And a lot of things are pushed into upper divisions that may not necessarily fall under that in a normal 16 team draft. But that's just so, everyone has a chance to at least get a relatively even pool of Mons available. I know in past seasons, we had trouble just making sure everybody got one or two tier ones. So we've definitely had to work on that. Also, with the GBA, which is the example given for that draft style, because A-Drive came out with that style back when he was with them, and then he joined us over at the NPA. But instead of doing 2 tier 3 picks, we do 2 tier 4s. So everyone's draft as a whole would be slightly worse than, say, that in a 16 draft. But it all kind of evens out because you're dealing with every other coach in that sense anyway.
I actually like this better. I've been in a couple smaller leagues that have done we'll say different stylings of draft. I was in a free-for-all draft once, which was kind of insane. There were no tiers, there was no cost value, it was just you basically pick what you want if it's available. And there was definitely some imbalance issues, we'll say, with something like that. But I feel like the way that the NPA has this set up allows for a decent number of balanced teams to get produced, as well as provide a showcase, let's say, for some lesser appreciated or some undervalued Pokemon that you don't really get to see do a whole lot most of the time because they get overshadowed by something that's in like a higher Smogon tier or something that's just more popular, something like that.
Oh, for sure. We didn't add that style in until the second season. So the first season, which was kind of our demo run, if you will, we did use a free draft system. And I remember specifically that myself and probably 3 other coaches had somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6 OU Mons on our team because we had coaches that were, you could say, inexperienced as far as drafting goes. So they just didn't really go for the super high tier Mons. They kind of wanted to pick the Mons that they were more so comfortable with. I know there was one team that was like over half evolutions, for instance.
Oh, man.
And surprise to nobody, those teams that had all the OU Mons just absolutely wrecked shop. And we had we had a balance problem that we had to really worry about going into the second season. So we completely, once Dan joined and he was like, I'm bringing, yo, it's A-Drive. I'm bringing this format in. We're going to use this. We were all just, you're praising it. It's like, oh, thank you. We kind of have a good format to work with now. And although that was before we had 24 coaches. Once we had 24 coaches, we knew we had to lock that down. Otherwise it was going to be chaos.
Which I was going to say too, the other thing that really lends to a balanced lineup of teams is that there are so many coaches in this particular league. I've seen leagues anywhere from 10 to 16, never a 24-person league before. And I believe the NPA is the only league doing that, right?
I think we're the only one doing 24. I know there's, I think it's the PGL that's doing 20, I want to say. Okay. And I don't mind shouting them out because there's some cool people over there. So I think they're doing 20 people, but I think that's the closest any league has come to matching us. Because we were originally going to jump from 16 to 20, and then I think right as we were at 20 people, we had locked it down. This is before we even had A Drive. I was checking the NPA Twitter, and suddenly one day it was just bombarded with tweet after tweet after tweet of let Kyle A join, let Kyle draft, so we had all these people from Kyle A's stream and YouTube community just being like, yo, let him in. So we all got together as myself and Poketroll, the then commissioner. We basically said, yeah, why not? Let's make it 24. I mean, it'd be dividable by 8 anyway, so it'd be better that way. It's a less chaotic number than 20 when it comes to divisions and that sort of thing. So we wouldn't have any odd numbers to deal with. So yeah, we added Kyle, and then we found 3 more coaches, including A Drive, and then would you have it? If it weren't for that, I mean, we all like to say we are a pretty good league anyway, but we wouldn't have blown up to the way we did were it not for A Drive joining in the middle of or right before season 2 started the way he did.
I mean, that's fair. Exposure is a big part of anything, honestly. And anytime, I like to think of leagues as a big collaborative effort for the most part. Everybody in it tries to grow the league for the benefit of the league overall.
I would completely agree. Completely agree. But the difference is that because we had one coach that had such a larger subscriber base than most of the other coaches at the time, I think the largest other than that would have been either Galactic Elliot or I know we had, going into the season, we had Invictus, but then he dropped out beforehand, so he would have been somewhere up in there. But we had that working for us. So because he was so much bigger, it instantly shined this giant spotlight on us that otherwise wouldn't have been there. And you can kind of see that he did it the same way with the P4G after us, and now the APA as well, where it's like every league he joins automatically gets put on, the spot on the map because it's a former GBA champion, very large channel, so it makes sense. It's like if Tom Brady decided I'm going to go play football in the Arena Football League. Suddenly everyone's watching the Arena Football League because they want to see Tom Brady play against a bunch of scrubs. You know what I mean?
Fair point. To that extent, there is a large number of coaches in this league, and the effort of drafting alone, tier system aside, point-based system aside, everything else aside, there comes a time, because we'll get into in a bit, but Dan, A-Drive, had the first pick overall because he was the previous champion last season, and he had to then wait, what is that, 46 picks?
46 sounds about right.
until it came back. So the poor guy had one pick, and then 46 picks later, he got to pick another 2. Can you I guess talk a little bit, because this is the first time I've ever had to kind of deal with that, and we'll get into the teams in a little bit, but can you speak a little bit to some of the struggle or strategy that goes behind planning out picks in a league that's typically twice the size of your norm?
Well, when it comes to that, personally, I would hate having the first overall pick. Like maybe 4th or 5th, I wouldn't mind. But first of all, everyone gets to judge your first overall pick. Now, with Dan, we had the situation where we had we had a couple mons that were pulled from, the ban list to the not ban list, mostly because we wanted to kind of trial them this season to see what's going on, like Mega Mawile. And I think the Megalates were brought down as well. Those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. But we brought them down. And so we knew that all of them were going to be gone in the first, all 3 of them were going to be gone in the first 10 picks. But it was just a matter of, you're now taking that risk as the first overall pick, taking the experimental choice. And if it turns out to bomb, well, you have the entire league that gets to say, dude, you picked that first overall, and that's not working out for you. And on top of that, Now you have to wait, like you said, 46 picks for it to go all the way down to 24 and then all the way back up to 48, which is you. Granted, you get to pick twice, but that means you're going to have very like segmented levels of ability on your Pokemon. Like you're going to have one really good Mon and then like two, kind of good Mons. Whereas if you get, I understand, like I think you were really close to the wheel pick. I want to say, I think you were 23.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right? Yeah. You were 23rd. So you could very easily plan to have two Mons early on that work together as a nice core or a nice duo that can play off each other very well. Whereas people in the middle, sure, they have to worry about being sniped, but they can at least, they only have to wait 20 picks every so often. So like I think 14, so I had to pick one and then I would wait a little bit, might get sniped, pick another one, wait a little bit. So I didn't feel too secure in my picks. I felt like in the middle, you got to come at it from where you are in the draft is what kind of plan you can make. If you're in the very beginning or the very end, you can kind of say, I want to draft a hyper offensive team. I want to draft a rain team. I want to draft a whatever, because you can pick two things you need at a time. If you're in the middle, you just put your hands up and say, you know what, I will get whatever's where the wind is blowing and what it tells me to pick up. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah, I mean, my strategy going in was, all right, I'm just not going to have any expectations. And that seemed to work out for me okay, because I didn't really get sniped, except like every time I went to pick a dark type and I thought it was still on the board, it was not. I was like, well, okay, I guess we'll just keep going down my list of wants here. And then eventually, I ended up picking my dark type, like Murkrow. I ended up going Murkrow like last as my final pick. It's like, well, all my dark types I lost a Alolan Persian. What was it? I lost Malamar. There was another couple in there that I was like, oh, well, I'm thinking about those. But then like 4 turns out, there was like, nope. I said, well, okay, well.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all that you lost Alolan Persian. That's one of Kelly's favorites, under the radar coach of the Maryland Torterrapins. He's always loved Alolan Persian. He snagged it again. Matter of fact, he picked it the same round you picked up Gyarados. So you had quite a bit of time between, being able to pick that up. Myself, I got stuck with dark types because I honestly don't really like most of the low tier dark types. I'm not a fan of like the Lipards and those ones. So I ended up just drafting Incineroar because I didn't want to grab a giant fairy weakness that I then had to worry about. So at least with him, he's neutral to it. So it wasn't going to be as big of a pain.
Dude, Incineroar's good though. Like I know we're talking about leagues right now, but I have used that in VGC the entire year so far, and it is amazing. It's so dumb. Once it gets intimidated, it's broken.
Once it is, that's going to be amazing. But you have to remember that what's good in VGC and what's good in Smogon/draft, I'd equate draft format a little closer to Smogon. Whereas, sure, the strategy is not the same, but it's the same idea. But there are Pokemon that do much better in singles format where they can't simply be ganged up on, versus a VGC format where every other Mon runs Protect, and as long as you get your mind game down, they can do fairly well. So, Incineroar kind of struggles in singles right now for that reason.
I want to go on record saying that probably half of my team is filled with popular VGC Mons. so I'm gonna put that theory to the test.
Oh yeah, Bulu. I'm looking at your team right now. Bulu, Cress, Blissey, Gyarados. Oh yeah, I see Gyarados on like every other VGC. Like all the finals, like the top 8s, you see Gyarados in there quite a bit.
Gyarados is solid. Like Gyarados is one of those Mons I think that maybe transcends the format a bit because there's so much you can do with it, and it has relatively good abilities overall, like Intimidate or Moxie. Like you can sweep with a Moxie Gyarados if you really wanted to in singles.
I'm noticing that Mons that get Rock Slide tend to be slightly boosted in as far as usage goes in VGC, and maybe that's just a spread move thing, and you need to handle a lot of flying types or something. But
no, it's really just for the flinches.
Oh,
that's really all. You flinch
that
to
makes
win.
Sense.
That's it.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's really hard to flinch to win without a Serene Grace Pokemon, like a Jirachi or something like that in singles.
God. Like I'm genuinely surprised that well, not to talk too much about VGC, but I'm surprised that Togekiss hasn't gotten a whole lot of spotlight yet, just because of how annoying that thing is to deal with.
It's being slept on. It's okay.
There was one event I went to where I got Thunder Waved and then air slash flinched 8 turns in a row. And the guy just stopped attacking one of my Pokemon just because like it was really that bad.
Ow. A little bit of a sympathy move. Just go for the other guys.
It hurts.
Ow.
It hurts, yeah. But anyway, getting back to the roster. Joe, you want to run down the teams and the coaches that we actually have participating in Season 4 of the NPA? Because I know we just had kind of a last-minute alteration to the lineup.
Yes, we did. So I'll just go by division just to keep it simple. I know you have them listed in a different order in the description or however you're going to do it. But starting with the red division, we have the Adelaide Honchkrows, coached by Kresselkey, our lovely gal from Australia. We've got Crimson Seabad coaching the Detroit-type Nulls. A lot of you guys are familiar with him, probably from the GBA. We have 6 Foot Hacks, coach of the Durham Druddigons. I want to say he was in the GBA D League. Did he go to the GBA? I'm not sure.
I genuinely don't know.
I'm honestly not sure. But yeah, he was the UCL champion, I think. So the second season he won the UCL. The Nashville Preditars, coached by Redithan. We brought him up from the NPAAA, our minor league operation that isn't content based, but it's fun anyway. The New Orleans Pelippers, coached by John, aka Pokemon, another GBA veteran. The Southampton Sharpedos, coached by Goffy's Enigma. So that rounds out the red division. Then we have the blue division, which is Data Dave, coach of the Atlanta Arcanines. We added him this season. We would have had the United Kingler coached by Professor Willow, but she had to drop out for some unforeseen IRL reasons. So we added in Vivid Color, coach of the, I want to say it's the South Texas Sableyes. Yeah, also from the NPAAA. So that's the great thing with that, is because we had our little farm system, we had a good group of guys and girls that we can look to if we need to fill someone in on a short notice. We have a bunch of contacts already, so that was nice. We have the Chicago Cubchoos, coached by Galactic Elliott, my assistant commissioner. The Minnesota Vikavolts, coached by returning champion A-Drive. We have the Pittsburgh Pirattatas, coached by Old Man Tup. And we have myself, coaching the Seattle Seakings. The Gold Division, we got the Cedar Rapids Thundurus, coached by Old School Sin. The Los Angeles Landorus, coached by Jerry Oak. The Rochester Rhydons, coached by Iron Boffin, formerly known as Big Pum Gaming. We got the Strawhat Swamperts, coached by the Lindomar. We've got our lovely host here, coach of the Tapu Koko Puffs. And we have the Maryland Torterrapins, coached by Under the Radar, as I mentioned earlier. And then lastly, in the silver division, we have the New York Klinks, coached by XBL Commissioner Papacy. We have the Colorado Rapidash, coached by Moonlight Swami. We have the Munchlaxster United, coached by King Bub. The Orlando Magikarps, coached by the Choice Specs. The Miami Donphans, coached by P4G Commissioner Kyle A. And the Tampa Bay Luxrays, coached by The Exception, which, by the way, is obviously not the same team as the Tampa Bay Luxrays in the GBA. Different logo and everything.
Important to note that, everyone. Note that, because I know you guys are probably familiar with the Luxrays. I
want to say he joined the GBA Luxrays. I want to say he joined the GBA after Exception had joined the NPA in Season 1. So it wasn't a matter of anyone was ripping anyone off. It just both versions of the Luxrays are created separately and unaware of the other. So
yeah, I don't think I'm trying to remember his name and I'm blanking right now.
Monotui?
Monotui, yeah, Mono.
Yeah.
I think he joined GBA last season as a step in because someone had dropped.
Right.
I want to say, but yeah, I know Mono. He's a great guy. Different Luxrays though.
I think I played PUBG with Monotui once or twice. Yeah, that sounds about right. Pretty sure I have. It was one of the GBA coaches, one of the newer ones, and I'm trying to remember because I was like, we were in a Discord call. One of my friends invited him. It was like, oh, I know you. You coach in the GBA.
So we have like a ridiculously long lineup, which, by the way, I'm thrilled to be in it. Just thought I'd throw that out there. I know that everybody sees me as like a VGC guy, but I'm fairly familiar, kind of. Because let me just say, let me throw this out here right now. I got dunked on during the live stream in regards to not potentially knowing what hazards were, etc. And I feel as though I have something to prove now, so now I'm actually going to have to try. Like, when I chose the name Tapu Cocoa Puffs, I was like, alright, this is staying true to who I am. I don't care about a whole lot, and this is just going to be, like, I like cereal. Why not? But now I feel like I actually have to, like, try, which is...
I think the hazard comment was... I'm not sure if it was Seabad or Dan that made it, but... It sounds like it was more of just a playful jab at VGC because it's such a faster paced game that you really don't see hazards come out at all.
Oh, dude.
Or it's very uncommon to see from my limited experience in VGC.
I don't know if you've kept up to the rules change for 2018. Again, not to get into VGC again. However, they have per game, it's a 5-minute timer, which obviously is vastly different from some of the 60-minute marathon battles that can go on in singles and in league and stuff like that. So it's definitely different for sure. But yeah, like you guys at home listening right now, I know we've covered like league stuff in the past. We're going to be covering it slightly more consistently and in depth, I think, in these bi-weekly episodes coming to you every Tuesday, supposedly, allegedly. That's my plan anyway.
Every other Tuesday.
Every other Tuesday, yeah. So, I mean, get ready for some stuff. And I know we just went through all the coaches, so don't sweat it. You're going to have access to all the links. I'll have them in the episode description here. So you can go follow them, including the NPA's Twitter and their YouTube as well. Because the NPA, we also have analysts, yes, and they do like weekly videos for that.
Yeah, we got a couple different shows that we're working on for the main NPA channel, which I think is in the description. The link for that, yeah, I see it right there on the doc you sent me. So that'll be there. We've got a recap show off the top of my head. I'm taking a lot lighter, footprint as far as running the analyst team. We've got Link's Forte as our head analyst, so I'm kind of giving him a lot more room to grow the team himself and work on that. So I'm not super in the know on it, but if I just take a quick look here, I'm seeing we got a recap show coming. We have kind of a pick'em show on the way. Looks like we have a top plays, a transactions show, excuse me, and I think some power rankings, and I could be wrong about one or two of those. So we got a nice group of analysts. We got Basic Gamer in there. We got Kami's Guide, Panther, Tone, Amazing Chi. I know Bill Standish is an analyst. I think Johnny GB is an analyst. The Chosen Juan, a.k.a. Juancito Marvel. So if any of those names sound familiar to you, then you should probably go find their show, and it's on the NPA channel.
Yes, if you guys want more than a every other week kind of deal here, make sure you definitely go check out those shows. Again, links for all of that stuff will be in the description. I encourage you to do it. Just because I know you guys love to just listen to stuff. I know you like to tab out and just listen, but listen right now. It's good. You should go check it out. A lot of people put a lot of work into this stuff, and I think that's one thing. As a former analyst, it goes unappreciated sometimes, and I'm very vocal about that fact. I don't know, man. Like, you spend so much time research, because when you're an analyst specifically, not to go off on too big of a tangent, but when you're an analyst specifically, you have to watch like all the games, and you have to make judgment calls on, like, especially with top plays. Like when I did top plays for the GBA, if I had to buckle down 24 teams, which is 12 games apiece, like 6 was a lot at that point. 12, oh my lord. First of all, you got to watch all 12 games, and then second of all, you somehow have to narrow down like a handful of good plays out of all those games, which is insane. It sounds incredibly difficult. So shout out and love to all of the analysts who put in so much work.
So true. Well, it's interesting because I hadn't been an analyst prior to this season, where I decided during our off season that I was going to run the recap show for, my buddy Kyle A runs the P4G. So I decided that Basic Gamer and I, who's, my friend and roommate, we were going to run the recap show for the P4G, mostly so I could kind of get a feel for being an analyst and see what my analyst team was going through, so I could see on the other end, like, why something might take so long or what they need help with or whatever. And my goodness, it's so many hours was put into just doing that recap show that I now get it to the point where I wanted to try and get almost 3 people per show just so one person could take every other week off or every third week off to catch a breather. But I don't think we have enough analysts for that yet. So if you're interested and you want to slot in, maybe I'll slide the application link to that. We can get some more talent in there. But right now I know we have 2 people per show, it seems like.
There you go. I know, like, you basically went undercover boss and
kind of
learned the ropes a little bit. So that's awesome. Again, you guys, all the links, I'm plugging this hard. All the links in the description. You're gonna get tired of hearing that probably. So I don't know that we'll have an abundance of time to go over every team again because there are so many teams, so many good lineups, dude. Like this is kind of crazy. However, I think it would be a great idea if we just kind of ran through the teams overall and just kind of gave a quick breakdown of what they ended up drafting, how the team overall looks, just like general impressions, if you will.
Sure. Is there anywhere you want to start? I can go through just the red division again and just kind of work my way over, if you want to do that.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think we're working off the same doc. So
okay, yeah. So I guess we'll start with the Adelaide Honchkrows. Hopefully Crest doesn't get too mad at me for judging her team, good or bad. She's got Excadrill, Megachar Y, Whimsicott, Kyurem, Scolip. That's not Speed. What? Drapion. I'm so lame right now. Alolan Raichu, Hippowdon. That's one of my things. I said Kartana is known for running Air Slash over Aerial Ace during the draft stream, and people ripped me for it because I realized my mistake immediately after. Yeah. Anyway, so Kamala, Dusknoir, Leavanny, and Keldeo. Just looking at her team pretty top down, I like that it's a Webs team. Keldeo is going to love working behind Webs. She's got pretty good rock coverage to save Megachar Y if it needs to sweep up, given that she's got Excadrill there. And I'm pretty sure Whimsicott, I want to say, does it get defogged now? I'm not sure.
It does, yeah, I think.
It does, yeah. And she's got Kamala for another Rapid Spinner, which she sniped from me, and I'm salty about that. So she's got an excellent hazard controlling team. She's got a Dragon... Does she have a Fairy? Yeah, Dragon Fairy Steel Core with Excadrill, Kyurem, and Whimsicott. Her Firewater Grass is Leavanny, Megachar Y, and Keldeo, so that's a little interesting. But she's got some major threats. I've seen Keldeo do a lot of work in League. I've seen Excadrill just run through entire teams in OU, so it really is... It's going to give her some really favorable matches, I think. Just looking out there. And she's got decent bulk. Yeah, I'd give her team a... Like, if we were doing letter grades, that'd be a solid B or B plus right there.
I like it.
I'm actually really a fan of her team now, just giving it a good look. I ran Drapion last season, too, liking that.
I love the fact that she has Hippowdon, because...
Oh, yeah.
That... In League, or honestly singles in general, Hippowdon is so good, dude. Like, even in VGC, I see people pairing Sand teams, T-Tar and Excadrill. And I get it. You can have, like, a Mega T-Tar and get Sand back up if you need to. Whatever. Hippowdon is the true Sand setter, in my opinion. I freaking love Hippo. Hippo is the best.
Oh, and not only that, she's got Megachar Y as well to get that drought up so she can quickly break the sand if it's no longer helping her out. And I'm pretty sure there's a couple Mons on there that get Rain Dance, because Rain Dance is just a fairly common move. So yeah, she could get Rain too. Dance up for Keldeo or for Alolan Raichu to kind of go to town. So she's got kind of a triple threat weather team going on here. So
yeah, I don't like this.
It's a much better team than her team was last season. Let me tell you that. So I'm very, very much keeping my eyes out for the Honchkrows.
The more we talk about this, the more fearful I become.
Oh my god, yes. I don't think I play her this season, and I'm grateful for that.
Well, why don't you get into the next team here, and I'm going to check to see if I have to play the Honchkrows anytime soon.
Sounds good. And if we run out of time, for instance, we can always go over more teams in 2 weeks. It's not that huge of an issue. So the Detroit-type Nulls, let's see. We got Celesteela, we got Mega Altaria, Gengar, Uxie, Pillow-Swine, Scrafty, Araquanid. We got ourselves... Why am I forgetting a thing's name? Excelgor, Hitmonlee, Zebstrika, and Lanoon. Oh no, he got the gluttony Lanoon Extreme Speed Belly Drum. That's frightening. All he has to do is just whittle his opponent down with Celesteela and Uxie and Mega Altaria. Maybe get a final Gambit up. Maybe that's not the word I'm thinking of. The other move that Excelgor gets, take out a big threat to Lanoon, and then just oof, ouch. This team sounds like it's very one-track minded, as in it's all going to be meant to funnel your team towards being weak to Lanoon, but that doesn't make it any less scary.
This Chase guy seems to know what he's doing. I don't know.
I've played a couple Lanoon teams, and I'm only about 50-50 on beating them, because if you have one Mon at full health that's really bulky left, you can generally take the Lanoon hit and knock it down at the end, or if you have something good with priority that can finish it, maybe an extreme speeder yourself, you generally are okay. But if you don't have any of those, you're just going to get 6 Mon swept by a Lanoon. And it's the most, like, it almost feels dirty, because you're like, I just got swept by a Lanoon.
This is true. You always got to remember, like, there's a certain sense of shame that happens. Like, a friend of mine just uploaded a video not that long ago of he got beat by a Fletchling. Yes, you heard that correctly. Yeah. Giovanni Costa, if shout out to the one Gio. He got on Battle Spot and he played against a Fletchling team that had Snatch and took a Tailwind and then just proceeded to Z-move and wreck. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Now, granted...
What Z-move did it have? Good lord.
Sky Strike.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, it was dumb. It was dumb.
I tried to run Snatch one time on a Rotom Wash last season, but I called it on the wrong turn, so it didn't really work out. Snatch is very risky business.
It is. Linoon, however, I feel like you kind of know what you're getting once it comes out. If you're not in the right position, pray.
Yeah, that is the one upside. The one upside is that you know exactly what you're getting into, and there's really only one strategy. So if you see it coming up and you know it's going to belly drum, if you've got that surprise roar or that surprise Dragon Tail in the back, now would be the time to use it. Or if you have one Mon on your team with a red card, now would be the time to use it.
There you go.
Although I think if you get hit and you die, the red card doesn't trigger. So you'd have to
does not, yeah.
You'd have to live the hit. So maybe throw in something with Sturdy, give it a red card. Hope there's not rocks on the field. I don't know. Looking at this team, the only rocker I really see is the Pillow Swine, I think. Oh, and Uxie. Uxie can drop rocks. So you got to handle both of those and make sure you have at least an even footing in the hazard game.
All right, who else we got here?
I got Durham Druddigons, coached by 6-foot hacks. Got Mega Gallade, we got Manaphy, we got Mamoswine, we got, Pillow Swine's father. We've got Slurpuff, Rotom Mow, Rotom Cut, whatever name you subscribe to. We've got Tyrantrum, Regular Steelix, Pyroar, Garbodor, Hypno, and Hydreigon. He managed to pick that up. I'm noticing a lot of these, in the red division at least, a lot of these last-minute picks are some of the scariest ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got Mega T-Tar in the end, we got Exploud in the back, we got Lanoon in the back, we got Keldeo in the back, we got Floatzel in the back. Floatzel's underrated, but I'll get to Floatzel when we get to Southampton. But just looking at this team here, I see so much pivot potential between Hydreigon and Rotom Mow, just spamming U-turn and Volt Switch and U-turn and Volt Switch. So that's absolutely terrifying. If Leo can get his rocks up with Mamoswine, maybe run a Z Rain Dance, maybe whittle the team down with some pivot, and then get the Z Rain Dance on the Manaphy and just start going to town on people, I think it's a very threatening combination of strategy going on here.
And to note, for those of you guys at home, if you didn't catch the live draft stream, Hydreigon was picked up, I believe, last, which is crazy. However, the thing to note with the tiering and the point system that the NPA uses, you have some really solid mons hanging out at the very end there. So if you save your points and you maybe free up your tier slot for a pick, like I think Hydreigon, Zapdos, and I want to say Keldeo were all last round picks.
Yeah, the crazy thing is like mons such as Starmie, which I know has been since picked up as a transaction, but Starmie wasn't drafted at all.
True.
Like,
yeah,
that's a solid tier 1 rapid spinner, and it just didn't go. So that kind of thing you will only see in a 24-person draft with the setup the way it is.
I love the Durham team. Like, dude, Mega Gallade and Tyrantrum.
Oh, let's not forget,
Flurpuff
gets sticky webs now.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it gets sticky. I have no idea why, but it does. And it's now one of the most viable fairy types in draft format for that reason alone.
So it gets sticky webs and a Cabelly Drum? This is absurd.
Yeah, although I would be surprised if I ever see anyone pull off both, just because of the amount of turns it would take to get the webs and then get the belly drum and then try to take advantage of the unburden. And to be honest, if you're running an unburdened version, there's really no point to running sticky webs in the first place, because you already are going to outspeed most mons behind your unburden.
True. The scary part for me is Team Preview pops up, and I see a Slurpuff, and I don't know what it does yet.
And you don't know which one they're playing for. Oh, no.
That's what I'm concerned about. Oh, good lord.
I guess if you see it first turn, you know what you're going up against.
Yeah. Oh, boy. What about
the downside, one last thought, the downside to Leo's team is a lot of his likely leads have a little bit of a steel weakness. You got Flurpuff right there, and you've got Mamoswine right there with their steel weakness. I guess he's going to be leading Rotom-Mow a lot to mitigate that. He's got a lot of good coverage for steel, but you know both of his hazard layers, other than Steelix, are weak to steel, and it's not too uncommon for a steel type to run Earthquake as well. So he's going to have a little trouble with those early leads unless he plays a little unconventional, I think.
Fair analysis. I like it. Yep. What about the Pelippers? Let's talk about the Pelippers. They're in the red over here.
Yeah, the New Orleans Pelippers, John aka Pokemon. For the first time in a while, I didn't see him get Nidoqueen because I stole it from him. But no, I've seen John in, I think it was NPA Season 3 and in the P4G Season 2. He had Nidoqueen, and I just almost felt like, he wasn't reliant on it, but he just had like a personal affinity for using that mon. But yeah, his team is Mega. Just from the picture I don't have in front of me, it's one of the Mega Latis. Conkeldurr, Primarina, Skarmory, Sarina, Salazzle, Mudsdale. That was surprising. Electrode. You got Absol, Cofagrigus, and then there was the Exploud that he picked up right at the end there. So that's a threat right there.
Yeah, and he is rocking Mega Latias.
Mega Latias, that's what it is. I'm not too familiar with the Mega Latis. Like, I get what they do, but I've never really used them much myself.
I feel like the Mega Latis, like, while they're good, I feel like their base forms are maybe a little more, I don't want to say versatile. I'm gonna get eaten alive for this comment.
No, versatile is a fair assumption, because they can be choiced.
Yeah.
The Mega ones, almost always from what I've seen, run setup, which is fine. You know, there's nothing wrong with running Calm Minds or Dragon Dances. But I remember, I think we had them allowed in Season 2, I want to say, because that was the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire time still.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a situation where I think it was Galactic Elliot and the Chicago Cubchoos had a Skuntank on the field. And they were going up against a Mega Lati. And the Mega Lati's been Calm Minding and Calm Minding and Calm Minding. And the Skuntank, I want to say, was Scarf. And it clicks Punishment. Completely one-shots the Mega Lati. It was the craziest moment I think I've seen. I want to say he was playing like the Huntsville Houndooms or something like that back in the day. So it was a week 1 or a week 2 match, and it was definitely probably my play of the week for that pick.
The little skunk that could. Wow.
The little skunk that could just completely dismantled that entire monster of a mon. So
impressive.
Yeah, but John does have some really heavy hitting threats as well. He's got that Conkeldurr and the Primarina, which, the Primarina is probably going to be running Specs or Assault Vest every single week, unless he wants to, I guess, like, was it Walk-On Berry? Is that the electric one? I'm not really sure.
It is.
Yeah, I get my type berries confused, although I'm getting better. He's got the Salazzle, so if he wants to get a super fast, like a Nasty Plot set up, maybe a Poisonium Z or something like that, that could be good. He's got a good case for having Hazard Dominance every game between Skarmory, which I think it can Rocks and Spikes, and then Sarina picks up the Rapid Spin, so you're not going to get any Rocks up, hopefully, for John. So that could be good.
Serena was a good pick. I like that.
Yeah, I love Serena in draft. I don't love playing it, obviously, but I love it. I love the idea of using it in draft because it's just, you run it with a Scarf and you can say every time, no matter what, like, I'm just going to U-turn on you for days. Or if you don't run it with a Scarf, you can just say you're not getting webs or rocks or whatever. It's not happening. You run it with an Assault Vest or something and you can just completely dismantle entire hazard setups. It's beautiful. I'm not really sure what Mudsdale does, to be honest. Like, I think it got added a move or two in Ultra Sun.
Oh, Mudsdale is glorious.
I have no idea. All I know is that don't hit it in the face with a physical move, and you're fine.
That stamina boost with an Assault Vest? Forget about it. It has
Assault Vest.
The stat distribution of Mudsdale is very similar to Conkeldurr. If that helps.
Okay. So basically, in order to completely dismantle it, you'd have to knock it off and then hit it with special moves. So you'd have to be running something mixed.
A little bit, yeah.
From the sound of it. That is okay. Now I can see that and see why that's a little more of a threat.
I had my eyes on it. I did.
Oh, yeah.
But
I didn't just because I didn't really understand it that way. You know?
It's a good mon, for sure.
Yeah. Got Electrode there, which is gonna be just a nice turn 1 pivot every turn. Every time he wants to, he can just lead with that if he's not feeling confident about the hazard game. You've got Absol there, nice revenge killer, nice. I guess he can kind of run it as a sucker punch, like a Swords Dance sucker puncher if he brings it in on a good matchup. Although that's a little risky. You've got Cofagrigus. I ran Cofagrigus season 1, late season 1. I think I picked it up late, but it's really, really good as a harasser, like just Will-O-Wisping and hexing everything, and then you can just pain split for days and just be kind of a pain in the butt with it. And then, of course, Exploud is, if something's catching a Boom Burst, whether you like it or not, and you're going to bring a Steel or a Rock type, well, catch a Focus Blast instead. He's got something for everyone.
Definitely a well-balanced team that John... Of course, John's a veteran. Like, John knows what he's doing. There's no denying that.
No, none whatsoever.
What about the Nashville Predators?
Preditars.
I see Blacephalon, Nidoking, Cobalion, Mascarin, Noivern, Lantern, Megatetar, Superior, Klefki, Musharna, which I think was an interesting pick for sure, and then Zangoose.
I will not sleep on Musharna for the sole reason of I've been swept by it before.
Really?
It's so bulky.
How did that go?
It was in OU. It was back when I was a little more inexperienced of a Wi-Fi battle streamer, but it still happens. It's this guy who would always be in my stream, and he would always bring a Musharna to like almost every game. And if I had a bad matchup, I didn't have something with a bug or a dark type move, he would just Calm Mind and or Barrier in my face, or on just whichever he thought I was going to bring in. Depending on what I had, he would Calm Mind to try and deal with it, or he would Barrier to try and deal with it, and then he would just keep Moonlighting and Calm Minding and Barriering and Moonlighting and Calm Mind or Recover, whichever move it was, and get all the way up to full +6/+6/+6. Start stored powering. What do you do to that?
It's a good point, actually. What do you do? It was like,
and I didn't like bringing dark types all that much back in the day, so I would just get, I get my lunch eaten. We'll just say that Musharna would eat my lunch back in the day. So I don't sleep on it. I can handle it now because I know how to deal with it now. But no, back in the day, no. But looking at his team here, I feel bad that he picked up Superior. Superior is blind and doesn't know how to hit a Leaf Storm. So good luck. You can ask Kyle A on that one. He just does. Superior needs glasses. That's pretty much what it is. Every time I've seen Superior in draft, I see more misses than hits, despite it being an 80% move, and I never have understood that. You've got Nidoking, the king to my Nidoqueen over there. Sheer Force Life Orb, it's just a nightmare, plus whatever else you can bring on it. Blacephalon, I haven't seen in draft, obviously, because it's brand new, but I know that what is it? What is the word? Burnout? No, not Burnout. What's the move? What's the signature move I'm thinking of? It's like it does half your health and recoil, but it's like 150 power or something like that. So if you run that with a Z move, you're nuking anything. Like I know a Landorus T from full health dies to it instantly. So like anytime you want to just nuke something, you just click that move when you're predicting a switch and nothing will live it. So that's lovely.
That's comforting.
Yeah, Masquerain I think has Webs, Defog, and Tailwind at its disposal, and he's got the Clef Key to get up pretty much any hazard that he wants. So that's an unconventional hazard pair, but I could see it. You know, he's got that strategy to win the hazard game. He's got Lantern. I honestly don't know what Lantern does other than just it's there in tanks and thunder waves. Maybe ice beams.
The Lantern's kind of interesting. It gets Volt Absorb and Water Absorb.
Yeah, so I know that.
It's kind of a nice little switch in if you need it.
It's a 50-50. Yeah, it's a nice 50-50 on which absorption do you want to use, and even if you don't absorb it, it's still not very effective most of the time or all the time. So got Noivern. That thing's just you don't want to catch a Draco from a Noivern, and it's so fast. You really need to, have something with Ice Shard if you want to handle it effectively, or else it's at least getting one. And I see it run Specs quite a bit in draft, Specs and or Draco Z. So, ow. Zangoose is kind of an interesting low round pick. It's really just a Toxic booster. I don't know what else it does other than Toxic Orb attacks, because it doesn't really dominate the way you need it to without the Toxic Orb. And even once it's on a Toxic Orb, it's on a timer. So I guess he could try just running Flame Orb and Guts if he wanted to, or no. Guts? No, I think it just gets Toxic Boost. I'm not, that's how little I use Zangoose. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it does get Boost.
Yeah, I know it gets Toxic Boost, but I don't think it gets Guts.
Oh, Guts. No, no.
I'm thinking of Ursaring. That's the one I'm thinking of that gets both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. And then Mega T-Tar, of course. Dragon Dance, Rock Slide, Pursuit, Earthquake, Ice Punch. It hurts, and it gets rocks up if it needs. So I don't know yet. I haven't seen a team in the red division that just looks like it's lacking in firepower. Like even the Southampton team that I play this week looks pretty rock solid. So I'm not, there isn't a single team that I can say, oh yeah, I'm just gonna walk through this in this division way. And I know I play 3 of these guys, I think, during the season.
All right, good deal. What about the blue division? I know. Well, I wanna try and cover every team, so we'll try and move along as best we can. But I mean, the blue team.
We'll skip Southampton for now, just because I play them anyway. I don't want to reveal my strategies for handling Southampton.
Fair point.
But yeah, I guess the big one we can talk about is obviously in the blue division we've got Minnesota coming back. Once again to try and re-win the title. I guess it's interesting because I don't quite see this team nearly as threatening as the previous one. That doesn't necessarily mean that I don't think he's going to playoffs and I don't think he might get back in the finals. But before last season, he had 4 Mons. I want to say it was Alolan Ninetales, Vaporeon, what was it, Infernape, and there was one other in there that basically you just couldn't get inside that core and it wouldn't, you couldn't get momentum on it at all. So like, I lost 4-0 to that team. I know a lot of other people lost 3 or 4-0 to that team because of that set of 4. And the only one out of that set that he brought back is, I want to say it's Alolan Ninetales. And he doesn't have Alolan Sandslash this time around. He doesn't really have anything else that benefits from Hail. So the only reason he'd, run the Snow Warning variant of Alolan Ninetales is to get Aurora Veil up. So it kind of, I guess, handicaps it a little bit as far as what it can do. Interesting that he brought Sharpedo, or that he got Sharpedo. Regular Sharpedo I've seen struggle in draft. I've seen both Sharpedos. Both Sharpedos are very good in VGC or Smogon, but they tend to kind of struggle in draft because Mega Sharpedo needs the boost from Sharpedo to get going, and then regular Sharpedo's kind of one-dimensional when going up against, tougher OU, UU threats.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Sharpedo's not really something I think a whole lot about. But it can be a nice little late game sweeper. You do have to kind of work around it is the phraseology I use for that. You gotta work around Sharpedo sometimes.
It's good that he got Seismitoad too. So that's at least one water absorber he doesn't have to get stuffed by.
We if I may just speak my piece for a moment, Dan, if you're listening, I didn't mean to take Vikavolt from you. It wasn't intentional. My pick got taken that round, so I just went down my list. Man, it wasn't anything intentional. Oh, boy. Yeah, I took Vikavolt.
I saw that.
Unapologetic.
Is that what got you unfollowed, or is that what got you blocked?
No. My Cresselia Blisseycore is what got me unfollowed. The Vikavolt steal was the top 5 anime betrayal. That got me blocked. Yeah.
Okay. Oh no.
All joking, of course. Anybody that's listening that wasn't tuned in to the live stream. So it was good stuff though. Vikavolt's a good mon, man. It got him to the championships last year, or last season rather.
I don't know if it got him to the championships, but it got him the win in the championships once he was there. Because I didn't see a whole lot of Vikavolt other than I want to say it was the Vikavolt sweep on Willow last season. That's the only one I can really think of, and maybe people in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong. But there was that game where the Vikavolt kind of reminded us that he picked it in the first place because we'd kind of forgotten. And then it did work in the finals against T-Train, which is part of what got him the win. But I think those were the only 2 games that it made a huge impact. And like I said, I could be wrong.
Fair enough. I still love it. I look forward to using it, for sure. And I'm sure, it's funny because, I guess there's Rotom. I guess that's Dan's electric go-to this time around.
Oh yeah, regular Rotom.
Rotom's still cool though.
Rotom's interesting. I like the Rotom family in general, mostly because just all of them make excellent, trick trolls, if you will. Just tricking scarves onto Slowmons is some of the most satisfying things you can do, and they're all based on setup or hazards or healing spamming or anything like that. And you just trick them a scarf and say, hey, you don't get to do anything anymore. You don't get to be useful anymore. You're not dead, but you get to watch yourself not contribute anymore. So that's satisfying.
So let me do a quick rundown of some other teams, because there is another team that I want to cover in the blue division. But also in the blue, we've got the Pittsburgh Pirattatas by Old Man Tup with Zygarde 50, Lucario, Empoleon, Aromatisse, Ditto, Lurantis, Reuniclus, Torkoal, Slacking, Zapdos, and Mega Beedrill. We've got the South Texas Sableyes. Who is that? In Vivid Color, filling in for Willow. The team is Tyranitar, Buzzwole, Stakataka, Granbull, Druddigon, Togetic, Mega Alakazam, Tangrowth, Gligar, Volcanion, and Stoutland. And then we've also got some other teams. Who we got here? The Cubchoos. You guys know the Cubchoos. That's Galactic Elliot. Tapu Koko, my namesake Pokemon. That's why I took Vikavolt. Melodic, Donphan, Mismagius, Magmortar, Ariados, Mega Garchomp, Umbreon, Roserade, Hawlucha, and Meloetta to round out. That was a nice little last round pick, I think is what that was. And then we've got... Who is it? We've got Data Dave! Dave to Dave with Dave to Dave. He's got a nice team too. Clefable, Gliscor, Crobat, Mantine, Electivire, Ferroseed, Mega Venusaur, gross, Heatran, Dragalge, Dusclops, and Kricketune. And then of course we've also got the Seattle Seakings, but we won't necessarily talk about that unless Joe wants to, unless he wants to give away all of his secrets. Totally
I can say what I got real quick, give kind of an overview. And obviously I've already made my own draft analysis video. But I'll just do kind of a quick overview. Just Kyurem Black, Kartana, Nidoqueen, Rotom Heat, Comfey, Mega Metacham, Jellicent, Incineroar, was Avalugg, now it's Regice. We got Armaldo, and we got Kangaskhan. And my team this season, is very hyper offensive. A lot of like heavy hitters that can break through all the kinds of walls. And then we got a lot of fake out mons as well. So Kangaskhan, Incineroar, and Mega Metacham all get fake out. So I can just slap people in the face over and over, switch out, slap them in the face again, wait until I have a solid matchup, and then just drop the haymaker. And that's what I'm hoping to do. All I can say is I'm really looking forward to playing Data Dave in week 3 because he's got the bulky team on the planet, and I've got the best team for handling bulky teams. So
I'm glad you're doing it and not me, because I got some wall breakers, but dude, Kyurem Black, get out of here.
Yeah, that thing, I just run Ice Z on that and I just obliterate things. I'm really looking forward to Data Dave's team specifically, like I said, because his team is so bulky. He's got a Fable, Mega Venusaur, and Heatran. Last season, the Duke City Dewblades, coached by Volskyler, had Mega Venusaur and Heatran, but they didn't have the fairy to kind of complete, to round out that core, and they didn't really have the super solid bulky dragon as well, and he's got Dragalge for that. So the one thing I do like, though, is that none of these mons resist Earthquake in that core. I know he's got Crobat, but he's got 2 poison types, so the odds he brings both are pretty low. And he's also got Ferroseed. I ran Ferroseed Season 2, and that little devil is the best discount grass steel wall I think I've ever seen. The only downside is you gotta worry if it gets frozen. I had that thing get frozen in 2 separate games. It was not a fun.
Oh, that's tragic.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. But it just, you start Leech Seeding and you start Thunder Waving, and nobody can do anything to you because you're such a bulky little spike ball. As long as you got to watch out for HP Fire, of course. But once you've determined that they don't have it, I would run Protect on that thing every week. Just Protect the first turn. Oh, no HP Fire? Okay, I'll T-Wave you next. Like, I stayed in on fire threats once or twice because they think it's so obvious that you're going out. And then you stay in and T-Wave them, and they're just like, wait, what? Why did you, what? So, on the upside, though, his whole team is knockoff weak, other than the Clefable. The Dusclops there gets wrecked by knockoff. The Ferroseed, you don't want it getting knocked off because it loses its Eviolite. Celebi doesn't want to take one. Dragalge doesn't want to take one either because he's usually running a choice item. And then Mantine, you don't want to lose the lefties because that's a lot of your healing capacity. I guess Crobat doesn't really care, and then Heatran doesn't really care. Mega Venusaur doesn't really care. Clefable doesn't really care. But his lower echelon of his team all doesn't appreciate a knockoff. So, guess what I'm bringing?
Sucker Punch, right?
Yeah, Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch in Pursuit.
So before we move on to the gold division, I think that one is up next, gold or silver, one of the two. Any other comments you want to make about any of the other teams we've got here?
We do need to touch briefly on the formerly United Kingler, now the South Texas Sableye.
Right.
I know I posted on the NPA Twitter that we would be talking about it here as opposed to making a separate video. I know I'll probably clip this part and put it on the NPA channel, but the way that it's going to work is that because Willow dropped out and In Vivid Color is going to slot in, for week 1, he's going to have to use those 11 mons verbatim, that exact same team, like just for the sake of his opponent not having to prep for something all new. But starting week 2, he has unlimited transactions for that week. So he can drop all 11 of his guys, he can drop none of them, he can drop some of them, however he wants to do it. And every coach that trades with him gets unlimited transactions as long as they're trading with him. So they can't use him as like a through to trade to another coach. They can't like Pokemon launder, I guess, if that's the thing. But if
that's the best term I have ever heard for that.
Yeah, but if you want 3 Pokemon off the current Kingler roster and Vivid's willing to trade them, then yeah, you can trade 3 of your Mons to him, and it won't count as any of your transactions. Everyone gets 4 in the season, and that's free agent transactions or trades. Like, they both count as 1. So you get as many free ones as you want as long as they're going specifically to Kingler. Or I guess now the Sableyes. Excuse me.
All right, sounds good. I was wondering about that as well, actually, and I was going to ask you to clarify, but there we go. We got that's the ruling on that. Seems pretty standard. Seems fair, I think, for the most part. And again, tip of the hat to Invivicolor for coming on and bumping up. You said he was in the other.
He was in the NPAAA.
Yeah,
and then he was also in Papa C's XBL League. So he's got a bit of draft format. A bit of recent draft format practice under his belt. I know the NPAAA ended, I want to say, in December, and then the XBL, I think, is ongoing right now. They're almost done, or something like that, or maybe they're just now ending. Not 100% on that. But it's also great because, and it's normally, it sucks losing a coach so early in any league, and they'll all, any commissioner friends will all back me up on this, but the upside is that for Vivid, because he's joining in week 1, he has just as good a chance to making playoffs as anybody else. He's 0-0. So minus, 1 week of not having a team that's really his fate is very much in his own hands, which is pretty unusual for a relief coach. I know if you join like week 7, your team's 0-6. What do? You're just like, okay, I'm just here now. But it'd be interesting. I mean, I know we had Redithan join late. He was a relief coach in the NPAAA, and he made it all the way to the semifinals. Semifinals? I think it was semifinals. So yeah, anything could happen with relief coaches.
It's I guess that's kind of the silver lining, is that it's happening relatively soon. Well, the silver lining for him anyway. But again, good on him stepping up. I don't think we play each other. I'm kind of glad, because I don't really want to fight against a Buzzwole, because Buzzwole makes me scared. But
hidden power fire or hidden power flying. Excuse me. What?
We're gonna move on into the gold division. I'm gonna run through the teams real quick, and then we'll comment, because again, I'm in this division, so I'm not gonna yammer on about my team for a terribly long time. The Rochester Rhydons, coached by Iron Boffin, has Terrakion. Good start for a rock type and a rock themed team here with the Rhydons. Sylveon, Blastoise, Spiritomb, Tauros, Sandslash, love it. Megalodios, Magnezone, Blaziken, Tornadus Incarnate, Torn Eye there, and Victory Bell. Love a Victory Bell. It's not to love about Victory Bell. We've also got Sin and the Cedar Rapid Thundurus. That's going to be a team of Starmie, Ferrothorn, Galvantula, Sneasel, Regirock, Golurk, Mega Charizard X, which is a fun pick. I like that pick. Gardevoir, Staraptor, Hitmontop, and Jumpluff. Also in the gold division, we have the Los Angeles Landorus, coached by Jerry Oak. I have to play him week 2, and I'm not looking forward to that. Latias. I don't blame you. I mean, the Landorus had a pretty solid team. Like, they got Latias, Arcanine, Tentacruel, Registeel, Vileplume, Haunter, which is actually like a beast, Mega Aerodactyl, which is, it's so fast it shouldn't be allowed, Weavile, Azelf, Quagsire, and Girder, which Girder is terrifying if you're not prepared.
I'm gonna make a
it.
quick comment about the Landorus. They've got about 5 of the best revenge killers in draft on one team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that, Joe. I see that. I've tried to start prepping ahead for some of my matches, and I looked at that and I was like, oh, great. Like, first of all, I got to play Kyle week 1, all right? And then I got to go play that week 2? Come on. This isn't even fair, man. This is ridiculous. But hey, we'll take our lumps and move on, I suppose. Lindomar, the Lindomar has the Strawhat Swamperts, which I'm a huge fan of that team name. Mew, fantastic mon. Decidueye, Zygarde 10%, the best doggo in the land. Magneton, Diancie, Rapidash, Mega Blastoise, Scolipede, Dodrio, and Malamar, which is pretty exciting. I wanted Malamar, didn't get it. Kelly, under the radar. The Maryland Torterrapins has Landorus, Therian, Celebi, Ribombee, Alolan Persian, another one I wanted. Golbat, props for going with bulk bat there. Very, very happy with that pick. Turtonator, Mega Heracross, Thundurus, Therian, Vaporeon, Doublade, and Omastar. And I think, is that everybody? Did I hit everybody? I think, except me. But I'll get to me in a second. Yeah, that's everybody. So any comments until any comments on any of the teams in the gold division aside from the Koko post, which I'll run down in a second here.
Right. Well, first I realized I had outdated information. I said the Torterrapins or the Atlanta Arcanines had Celebi, which obviously they traded for it. So that's my bad.
Yeah, that's right.
On that, I just have the draft slides we have up here for that. So whoops. But yeah, looking at the teams here, I as we said with the Landorus, every single mon on here, bar I think Vileplume, Registeel, and Quagsire, and Girder, I guess, are all just insanely fast mons. He's got a really, really fast team that he can take advantage of. He's got Latias, Tentacruel, Weavile, Mega Arrow, Azelf, and Arcanine that just make up an amazing speed core. And that's going to be an ouch. I know I play him, week 5? So I got to find a way to either slow that team down or just, find a way to soak hits. Since I'm a hyper offensive team, the latter choice isn't really an option for me. So I need to find a way to slow it down, or better yet, come up with some trickery to handle it. So I'll let you know when I come up with something for that, because I have nothing yet. The Thundurus are the almost exact opposite. They got a lot of slow mons on here, or at least a lot of mid-speed. I know they got Galvantula, and they got Webs, and they got Staraptor, but kind of other than that, everything here is a little more on the slower end and a little more on the bulky end. He traded, I want to say it was Toxapex to get Starmie, which is good, because when I, obviously he's my roommate as well, so when he was drafting and he picked up Ferrothorn and Toxapex, I said to him right away, I was like, dude, what are you doing? This seems way too bulky, or like it lacks depth in terms of it can just be set up fodder like no one's business if you're running Toxapex or Ferrothorn. I know he has Toxapex with his week 1 match, so I'm not sure how that went yet. I'm sure we'll find out. But I know Starmie is going to be a much better choice, and it can help him kind of win that hazard game one-on-one with Galvantula and Starmie as a good hazard pair. So, and Hitmontop as well. So he's got Galvantula, Hitmontop, and Starmie to try and win the hazard war. So good for him there. You've got, let's see, Rochester. Honestly, it's funny with Rochester because he picked up what's the name? Spiritomb in the 4th round, Gertrude, which is what he loves to call it. And he picked it up in the 4th round, and the only reason he did so is because I think several people in the general chat of our Discord were threatening to pick it early just to spite him because he has like a platonic love for using Spiritomb. Oh, no. And he was like, no. So he picked it round 4. He easily could have gotten it round 7 or 8 and no one would have touched it. So
he got peer pressured into it.
He got peer pressured into taking it early. Oh. So there was that. The Victory Bell pick was interesting. I don't think he has a particularly sun-friendly team, so I don't exactly know what he's going to do with that. Like the Victory Bell and the Tornadus Eye actively work against each other in that regard in the weather game. I guess maybe if he wants to run Sunny Day on the Blaziken, but I don't know if people do that. So, he's maybe. Got he's got a couple competing vibes going on with his team, but I think Terrakion's a solid pick. I think Mega Latios is super solid. He's got a great core with Latios, Sylveon, and Magnezone that he could pressure people well with. I don't know if I like Victory Bell much personally, but it kind of works well in a core with Blastoise and Blaziken. And obviously with Blastoise and Sandslash being excellent rapid spinners, he's got variety in how he wants to clear hazards. I'm looking at his team, and I guess Oh yeah, I guess both Sandslash and Terrakion get rocks, so he can at least win the rock game, hopefully. I don't see anything that gets spikes or anything like that, so he's only going to have rocks at his disposal, which is a little unfortunate. Sometimes, I mean, I personally, I don't know if even I have it, anything like that, but generally, the more hazards you have at your disposal, the better. But, I think he's got a good, solid team here. I don't know if I'd call it the best team, but it's definitely not worst by any standpoint. It's probably somewhere in the middle.
Fair analysis. Well, I guess now's as good a time as any. The last team in the gold division here, which is ironic with a name like Blue. But here we are. The Tapu Koko Puffs, Tapu Bulu, Nihilego, Darmanitan, Vikavolt, Hitmonchan, Murkrow, Mega Pidgeot, Cresselia, Blissey, Gyarados, and Rhyperior. And if you guys saw my analysis video, I went pretty in depth, about 20 minutes worth of gnawing at your ears to listen to this. But I'm just incredibly proud of my Cresselia Blissey core. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I am going to give you a quick piece of advice here, and that is to shield your Nihilego with your life. The reason for that being is that it would be so easy to toxic taunt away that core. And the only thing that stops you from being toxic fodder is that Nihilego. So keep the Nihilego alive and keep your Blissey alive to where it can heal Bell. Otherwise, people are going to have a field day with those two.
Well, Blissey can actually, it gets, what is it? Whenever it switches out, it heals its condition.
Yeah, it does, but Cresselia is still going to be melted away.
Oh, yeah.
And that, and Cresselia is is going to be the physical tank of the two when they're brought together, I assume.
Yeah, Blissey's base defense stat is like literally 5.
Yeah, literally nothing. So if you toxic away the Cress and you taunt the Blissey every time it wants to heal Bell to the point where Cresselia basically just has to melt away, then all you got to do is physically hit the Blissey hard enough. So that's why I'm telling you, keep that Nihilego alive. So every time you see a toxic coming, you have a nice poison switch in right there, and then hopefully the Blissey or the Crest doesn't get toxic in the first place. That would be the ideal. And I've seen some coaches pull that off way better than others. So it all depends on how well you manage toxic on that Crest.
We'll see. I might surprise people this season. We'll see.
Very well, very very well could.
We're gonna move on into the last division, which is the Silver Division, and we're gonna break these teams down super duper quick. The Miami Donphans with Kyle I, and this is
your week 1 opponent. Yeah?
I've been prepping for this for some time now, because it's one of those teams where I don't really want to prep against, just because it's difficult to do that. Yeah. So I've been it's slowly been eating at me for a little while. But Kyle has a team of Scizor, Amoonguss, Crawdaunt, Mesprit, Cryogonal, Oricorio, Megadiancy, Jolteon, Flygon, Emboar, and Shuckle. The Munchlaxster United. Sorry, had a little issue there. But King Bub, he has Necrozma, Raikou, Metagross, Palisand, Quillfish, Tangela, Megalopunny. Desperately wanted that. Didn't think it was going to get to me in time. Greninja, Suicune, Archeops, and Audino. We got the New York Klinks, coached by Papa C, Tapu Fini, Goodra, Fortress, Miltank, Raichu, Trevenant, Mega Absol, Tornadus Ethereum, Tornadus T, Swampert, Delphox, and Toxicroak for that team. Colorado Rapidash, coached by Swami. That team has Latios, Mimikyu, great Pokemon, love that Pokemon. Crocodile, Licky, fun to say, more fun to play. Venomoth, Electabuzz, Mega Aggron, Infernape, great mod.
Yeah.
For Alligator, another one of my favorites, Gourgeist, and Rotom S. And it should note that Gourgeist, you can use any of the Gourgeist forms. So you get some different base stat distribution with the different forms on that. The Orlando Magikarps, coached by the Choice Specs. You got Jirachi, Florges, Venusaur, Ninetales, Cinccino, Manectric, Mega Gyarados. Props to him. That was solid. Dragonite, Entei, Claydol, and Drifbloom. And I believe our last team here, the Tampa Bay Luxrays, coached by the Exception. Thundurus Incarnate, Pelipper, Kingdra, Bronzong, Zoroark, Togedemaru, Mega Swampert, Shaman, Kabutops, Snorlax, and one of my all-time favorite picks, Heracross. Love that Heracross pick. Any initial reaction to any of these teams?
All I can say is I cannot wait for the Tampa Bay versus New York game, where you've got two of the biggest rain teams in this league going mano-a-mano, where you've got regular Swampert taking on Mega Swampert, you've got Thundurus taking on Tornadus T, you've got, Tapu Fini in there, you've got Pelipper in there. It's going to be rainy the whole game, and we're just going to see who manages that better. You've got Shaman on one side, and you've got Sapsipper Miltank on the other. You've got Raichu just begging for the rain. You've got Toxicroak just begging for the rain. You've got Trevenant that doesn't care about the rain. This is going to be, it's going to be the most exciting match of that week, bar none, just because of the fact that they're both, perfectly built rain teams, and that's going to be exciting. Sure. Now, as for every other week, looking at, let me see, I'm trying to think who I'm playing that I got to worry about just off the top of my head. I know I play Swami, and I think I play Kyle off the top of my head. So for Swami, he's got Latios, Mimikyu, and what's his steel is Mega Aggron as his core. That won't be fun. You can't exactly Earthquake that core to death because you got Mimikyu who could take one, and then you've got Latios who doesn't care. You can't exactly knock it off because, you got something that doesn't care behind the disguise, and you've got Mega Aggron that doesn't care about knockoff at all. So you'll have to be a little more creative to find the hole in it that you can successfully handle. You've got Crocodile and Infernape and Feraligatr, all of which can be super fast, heavy hitters in their own different ways. Like, I know Infernape and Crook, you might need a Scarf, but then Feraligatr can just be a Dragon Dancer, so that's a pain. You've got Licky, which can just body slam you over and over and can paralyze and ruin your day. I'm honestly surprised it went round 6, but it's still a good pick nevertheless. You've got Gourgeist, which can harass with Willow and Leech Seed fairly well. I'm honestly not sure what Electabuzz does that Electivire doesn't do. Like, I'm just unfamiliar with it.
I think it's a little bit faster.
Could be,
if I'm remembering.
But then he picked up Rotom Spin / Rotom Fan as well. So I'm not really sure why he picked up both, but, all power to him. I guess he doesn't add any weaknesses with the Rotom Fan versus any other generic flying type. So I guess there is that, because, a levitating electric type doesn't, it's like a discount Zapdos, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then he's got Venomoth, and Venomoth is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. If he gets that Venomoth in a situation where you don't have something ready for it, it just quiver dances. And it does that 4 or 5 times, and might even hypnosis you and put you to sleep. Did I say hypnosis? I meant, sleep powder?
Yeah.
I can get sleep powder. So sleep powders and quiver dances in your face, and suddenly it's +3/+3/+3, and you just woke up. Have fun. Have fun with that. So, and on top of that, you have Swami, the coach, who is Mr. Heat of the Week himself, who was up on the board for that last season probably 4 or 5 times. So he's one of the most creative builders in the league by far. And when I say creative, I mean like successfully creative, like creative builds that actually work and produce results.
Yeah.
So I think any match that he takes part in is going to be a crazy one, to say the least. I honestly can't predict too much because he builds something completely new and original every time I see him.
I've heard stories of Swami. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah. I'm not
many. Looking at Kyle, I see bulk, see speed. I see bulk and speed. That's a great combo to put together. You've got Cryogonal, which I used last season to great avail, or to great it's not the word I'm looking for, just great results, I guess. You've got your discount Moltres, your discount Zapdos, your discount Xatu, your discounts Driftblim over there in Oricorio. I'm just excited to see this because I've never seen it in draft. I just am curious. It's a general curiosity. You've got you've got a Moongus and Shuckle, either of which can be bulky, trolls that just never die. Shuckle can drop all manner of hazards and I think gets spin. So it can win the Hazard War all by itself. You've got a Moongus with Spore, so that's no fun. You've got Azelf, which can lay Trick Room, can lay, I think it gets rocks, can lay dual screens. So very nice setup looking there. Also, he's got Cragganol, which also has spin as well. So there's that. And then he's got his Emboar, his Flagon, his Jolteon, his Crawdaunt, his extremely powerful offensive on different sides of the coin, Mons. He's got Mega Diancie, which can win games by itself if played right. And then he's got Scizor, which can Bullet Punch and clean up anything at the end. It can also defog. It can run Swords Dance setup and just ruin your day. I love Scizor in any capacity. Granted, obviously you have to worry about HP Fire, of course, because everybody runs it when they see you bring it. But it's still something that you can pair very well with Mega Diancie and pick up quite a few W.
It's definitely a scary team to prep for. Again, I've been in that hot seat. Now looking forward to the out. Actually, you know what? No, I'm pretty excited to play this team. I'm legitimately pretty excited to play this team. Like, he's got one of the better anti-Bulu teams that I can think of off the top of my head. And I mean, I don't know. It's
a Bulu team.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a sad time to have Bulu. But I mean, ultimately, like the team is just done really well, and I think they made the comment in the draft stream, Dan and Chase, where Kyle seemed to be taking the strat of if you don't want to play against it, draft it. And there were a lot of things that he kind of built around that first pick of Mega Diancie, which I'm pretty sure was his first pick. I could see that. It went pretty well, I would say. It's very well constructed. Like you said, a lot of speed, a lot of bulk, a lot of priority too. On top of that,
yeah. Also, the upside for you is that sure, he's probably one of your worst matchups, but then you get through it, win or lose, and it's just all smooth sailing from that point on. Sure, I would rather take an 0-1 or an 0-1. Be 0-1 going into week 2 and have my worst matchup of the season behind me, and rather than have a 1-0 and realize, I got to play my toughest match week 8, week 9, heaven forbid, week 13, going into the finals. Yeah, or going into the playoffs, excuse me.
I'm definitely very happy to get this out of the way, so I don't have to think about it much anymore, for sure.
Yep. Got 2 more teams to go over. So I guess we could probably talk about Munchlaxster quick.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so with Munchlaxster, we've got that Megalopony, which is, kind of taking a page from my playbook, or I'm taking a page from his playbook, I suppose, with just the fake out harassment. Also gets high jump kick, so very similar to Mega Medicham. It's kind of like Mega Medicham, not 2.0, just like, I guess 1.1, in that it can't be really touched by ghost types whatsoever. And it doesn't really care about dark types either. It just runs right through them. So it has a little bit more fun on that end, but then it also gets completely wrecked by, say, other fighting types. It can't really hold... Like, if Mega Medicham and Megalopony were to 1v1, Mega Medicham should win every time. But Megalopony can handle plenty of threats that Medicham can't handle. You've got a pretty interesting... I'm trying to see, does he have a core? He's got... no fire type whatsoever. He's got 3 water types in Greninja, Suicune, and Quillfish, but I don't see a fire type on there. And I see a steel. I don't see a dragon or a fairy on there. That gives me many questions. Many questions indeed. I think that's the first time I looked at this team and realized he's missing both cores. So he's going to have to try and find a way to not get completely shut down, because once Palossand goes down, he's got a pretty fat electric weakness. I'm trying to see here. Yeah, he's got that electric weakness. Archeops is pretty good on the offensive side. I ran that season too. I love me some Archeops. Audino, I'm biased. I think Audino's a terrible Pokemon. I'll be the first to say that. And Kelly, I'm sure, is if he's watching, he's yelling at me saying, Joe, you know nothing of this game. But Audino and Mega Audino, I think, are just bad Pokemon. I think they need to not be picked up. But some people pick them up anyway. And I'm trying to think Psychic weakness. Once Greninja goes down, his whole team gets wrecked by a good Psychic type with a Shadow Ball on it. So that'll be fun. I hope he has a good answer for that. And I hope he makes a couple transactions to pick up a fire type. And maybe, I mean, if he wants, if he's interested in Incineroar, that would probably complete his team perfectly. He can slide into my DMs if he wants to make that happen. But
that sounds like an official offer to me.
It kind of is. But that would plug up a major gap in his team, being no completed Fire, Water, Grass core, and a massive Psychic/Ghost weakness that could easily be plugged up with that. So I'll put that on the table there. But other than that and maybe, obviously picking up a Fairy and a Dragon. I just think that any team that doesn't go with the Dragon, Fairy, Steel, Fire, Water, Grass is either A, trying too hard to be original, or B, is just plain shooting themselves in the foot because they think that they can win a game or they can win a season without having a core designed to be as tough as possible to break regardless of type. So it's getting the double core and it's winning the Hazard War that generally puts people ahead in draft format. He's got, actually looking at he's got Toxic Spikes with the Quillfish. He's got Spikes and Toxic Spikes with the Greninja. He's got Rocks with the Metagross. So he's got ways to set them. But I think his only hazard clearance is the Archeops. And I don't know about you, but I don't see Archeops as a defogger. And it's coming as someone who's used it. Because a Defeatist, it's not good to take the hit while defogging and then get dropped down below half and then suddenly it can't do anything. So that'll be risky. That'll be risky indeed. I honestly think out of the ones we've looked so far, my personal take, and this is no offense to Bub, but I'm not a big fan of this team right now because of the giant holes in it. That's just me.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think of defogger when I hear Archeops for sure. I mean, was Necrozma the first round pick? No, Megalopunny was. Megalopunny, then Necrozma?
Then Necrozma, then Raikou, then Greninja.
So, I mean, a pretty solid offense that was built there. And I don't know if like you said, like I'm seeing a slight amount of gappage. It's not, like I said, terrible, but I do kind of agree with you in the terms that it's when I just look at it, and this is no slight to Bub by any means, because I'm kind of the rookie in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at it, like something just kind of seems off. That's how I would describe it.
Yeah.
But like Megalopunny's there, and I like Megalopunny a lot.
Yeah,
so.
like I said, that's not to short him on the offensive side. He's got a very good offensive pressuring team. I think that's gonna be his saving grace. Is can he win? The fast game. He's gonna be playing kind of similar to what I am doing. The only difference is that I have a double core to at least pretend to hang on the defensive side. So it's kind of that old football mantra that, and I'm not just saying that because we're recording this on Super Bowl Sunday, but defenses win championships. So he's got to be careful with that. And then last, we've got Orlando, the Magikarps, coached by Choice Specs. I would argue one of the most underrated coaches in this league since we picked him up as a relief coach in season 2. He's very, very savvy guy of the game, knows what he's doing. We got Jirachi, Dragonite, and Florges as the Dragon Fairy Steel core. And right away, I say I really, really like that core. And then right after that, he plugs up the Fire, Water, Grass with Mega Gyarados, Entei, and regular Venusaur. So pretty, and I guess slash Ninetales as well, because it can kind of plug in if need be. So very competent cores on both sides there, followed by regular Manectric to be a very strong pivot threat. I know he doesn't, I guess he kind of has U-turn with Jirachi, so he has the Volt Turn core right there. And then he's got Claydol, which both sets and spins hazards. He's got Drifblim for defog. And he's got Chinchino as just a nice skill link banded, hit you in the face kind of type. I don't know what else to call it. So I wouldn't say that any of this team is the best I've seen. Like, there's nothing here that I stand out and say, oh god, that one thing by itself scares me. Like the Jirachi scares me, the Dragonite scares me, the Mega Gyarados scares me. I don't think that. However, he's got 2 Dragon Dance threats in Dragonite and Mega Gyarados. He's got a very, very strong Banded E-Speeder in Entei. And he's got a Flinch Haxor in Jirachi. And he's got a very solid Cleric in Florges. So I would say from a synergy standpoint, I think this one's my favorite. Just straight up. Like, if the Moneyball team of this league, I would say, is the Orlando Magikarp.
All right. High praise. I like it. I'm a big fan of the Mega Gyarados pick. And coming from my background in play, Mega Gyarados doesn't really get a whole lot of love. But Mold Breaker is such a good ability, man. I mean, you can't discount it. Mega Gyarados, like, maybe the stat spread on Mega Gyarados isn't as desirable. Like, maybe it could be a little bit faster, you know? But Gyarados, I mean, you've already got the ground immunity. You can come in on stuff. You get an Intimidate off, you Mega Evolve, and then you instantly have Mold Breaker, man. Like, I feel like sometimes it might be a little difficult to switch into a Mega Gyarados, and that's a big appealing factor for me when speaking of Mega Gyarados, and in doubles particularly, you don't really get to have that option most of the time, because you know something that you do often in doubles is you pair an Earthquaker, for example, with a Levitate user. Well, if you do that with Mega Gyarados in doubles, you're just gonna Earthquake your own partner, which doesn't go well, but. Mega Gyarados is solid. Like, I really like the Mega Gyarados Entei picks. Like, paired with Venusaur, like, that's a nice little Fire, Water, Grass offensive core. And I mean, you can build them bulky on top of it, which is really nice. So I'm with you. I really like the Magikarps. I don't know if it's my overall team. I don't know that I'm qualified necessarily to give a favorite pick overall. But maybe that's for you guys to decide. Let us know which team you guys think is maybe your pick for the season. Maybe there's a team that you just like, and that's what you're gonna go with. Maybe you're a dedicated fan of one of the teams particularly. Let us know which one you're rooting for, which one you think has the solid lineup, who you think can make it to playoffs. Let us know. But I think that's probably where we'll go ahead and wrap this up. KantoCast listeners, I hope you enjoyed. Joe, I want to thank you for coming on and talking.
Anytime.
Any final notes that you want to give overall for the NPA this season or anything like that?
I have a good idea of who I think will be making it out, because we do have, you know, two guaranteed outs into the playoffs of each division plus 2 wild cards per conference. So about half these teams are making it out. If I was a gambling man, I'd put some money on a couple teams now, but I'm not. I won't. And like I said, or I guess like I didn't say, but I'll say now, if there's any teams we didn't talk about, I know there's like 4 or 5 we didn't get to today. We'll probably talk about them in future weeks. Don't worry about that. But other than that, yeah, I'm just happy to be here. Happy to talk about the league in more depth, more detail, in some format other than on channel there. So looking forward to future weeks here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming on. Guys, like I said, all the links you'll need to follow the NPA all season long will be in the description. Go check it out. I will be a part of it. I'm not quitting. And again, I am an underdog. I'm a bit of an underdog here, so I need support. If anything else, it's a selfish plea from me to come support the NPA Season 4 and not make me feel like a complete loser, because I actually have kind of a tough lineup, I think, and I'm not happy about that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Joe, again, thank you for coming on.
All right, y'all have a good one.